everyone joining us today. Beautiful Bangalore morning, but it is a Bangalore morning. We realize the traffic. I'm sure many of us are still on their way. I was listening to what Supriya was saying a little while ago. We've worked with more than, I think, 20, 30,000 startups so far. And ever so often, when we work with an aspiring founder, we ask them to show us the proof of the gap or get to action and not just talk about the idea. I am just so excited to begin our Climate Action Summit with two of you who will show to us what action means and at a scale that both the groups have been operating at. Very grateful for both of you to have made time and joining us today. For all of us in the room, Mr. Alok Vijayvergiya is the Chief Sustainability Officer at the Hinduja Group. On my extreme right is Selvakumar R. He's the Climate Change Lead at the Aditya Birla Group. Together, if you were to look at these businesses, you have several tens of billions of market cap on this stage. Both these businesses, very densely transnational, very highly diversified, and yet very strong on your sustainability practice. My research tells me that you're taking different approaches to sustainability, and I will not talk any longer. I want to use most of this time to hear your perspectives. I have some questions for the two of you for the next 30 minutes or so. Towards the end, we will want to open the floor for questions from our participants here. To begin with, my first question is going to be the same for both of you. When I try and understand the climate action space across the world, there are a variety of organizations that are doing their own bit, large corporations like yourself, startups, governments, not-for-profit organizations, foundations, individuals, and so on. To me, it starts to appear that all of this climate action lies on this purpose-profit continuum. Most of it loaded on the side of purpose, but market momentum comes from being loaded on the side of profit. As large business conglomerates, what is your approach to sustainability? What are you doing and why are you doing what you're doing? Begin with you, Alok.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. So, in the morning when I was doing a chat, I was studying that exciting times are yet to come. It's just beginning. And I will share the journey. Whatever little I know is what I've been doing in the last couple of years is only about sustainability, right? And sustainability, the biggest challenge which we face as individual professionals and also the employee of a large conglomerates is interpretation of the issue, right? I will give a couple of examples and then how the journey began, how we are working, and the individuals also as a company. Long back when I was in consulting and pitching to the clients and saying the climate change is one of the risks as well as the opportunity. Being a consultant, can we not enable this, unfold this, and create an opportunity for a business? There are many people who didn't even believe it, right? Many of the partners and directors of the company said, you are fooling around, we can't make money out of it because of, other than the purpose, the profit was the key, right? And we say you can make money out of it, provided you do ABC kind of thing, because it's also coming as a risk to you. What if you will not do an act on that particular time? It will become a risk to you. There are many who didn't work on that, but there are large conglomerates who picked the bet on that day. And you see a lot of companies, let me not name those companies, but those companies have made sizable amount of newer business opportunities, which was small at that time, but grown significantly. And that becomes the principal cash flow generator of those large conglomerates. So that's from that time to the time when the sustainability was starting from clean tech or maybe CDM and carbon credits to a journey in 2012, it's become like sustainability, right? If you move to another 6 years, 2018 has become more of an ESG kind of things. And the interpretation of ESG has become so challenging that every time when we speak, we of course talk about environmental sustainability, but we'll also talk to the people, and you know what? ESG is integration of all this. And when I speak to the people, I say, we'll work on climate adaptation and mitigation, but we'll also work on DE&I. We'll also work on human rights. We'll also work on supply chain procurement. We'll also work on the value chain partner, right? globally in Indian context also. They said, if you will do everything, what else others will do, right? So the interpretation of the ESG and the scope of ESG is extremely difficult in all the conglomerates. And in my current role, uh, 18 months back, I joined this group. The group has decided that if the way they can grow in future, if they want to reach to 100 billion market cap by 2030, that's the goal. The two new elements they have to add it. If you don't add those two elements, you will not reach. And those two elements is digital and second thing is sustainability, right? Now the companies in their individual silos are doing good and great, right? The group is 100 plus year old. So you have Ashok Leyland, which is an automobile. You have IndusInd Bank, which is completely different than the automobile. Then you have oil and lubricant called Gulf Oil. And there are many other companies. And each company will also have their own sustainability team, EHS team, and other kind of people who are driving those kind of things. And in the promoter's office, in the chairman's office, when we are looking at this, we said, okay, sustainability and digital will help us to grow, but how we will weave it together so that we can create a value for the companies. And it was an extremely difficult task. And that's the reason last 18 months we tried to change the way we have been working. It's not because we are very kind to the environment, let me be very upfront, but we see clearly the opportunity as well as the risk in this. Example, if Ashok Leyland is a great company working since 76 years in trucks and buses, but if you will not move from the IC engine to the EV, heavy duty vehicles, you will no longer remain in that. Another example, there is a company called Gulf Oil and Lubricant listed in India and otherwise. When we are talking, they said we are a profitable company, but the share prices are not increasing. I was telling them. And he said, but I see the opportunities available in the business. Reason being, there are moving parts. You need lubricants. We'll sustain for more than 20 years. And then we said, you believe in EV? Yes, yes. The number of moving parts will reduce when you move from IC engine to an EV. Yes. The amount of lubricant which will consume now in future will reduce. Yes. Where is the upside in the business? And then they started thinking, oh, that's a newer opportunity. And that's where the support from the people like you become very critical. Because in an operating business, you create and busy in your own opportunities. Of course, you have a function to create on newer opportunities, but we don't get time, effort, and the risk-taking appetite to do the experiment. And that's where the reliance on the support is needed from the climate tech entrepreneurs. And that's the reason in last 3-4 years, the group has evolved significantly in engaging and collaborating with the people who are younger, smarter, cleaner, greener, to see what they are doing it, and putting a problem statement in public domain and creating an opportunity for them to do a test bed with us. And also park some funds, then their conventional ROI-based conventional projects to see if we can invest in this. And that's the reason a Gulf Oil kind of company has a partnership with Electrify. They also have a partnership with Indra. They also have a partnership with the other companies, which is into AC charging, DC charging, and other kind of setup. Why it is? It's not because we feel it's great, but we feel if you will not work with this partner, you will not sustain. So the role of the climate action entrepreneurs is absolutely essential for all of us. And I am not even essential, I feel it's necessary for all of us to grow. Otherwise, the wheel of digital and wheel of sustainability will not work in absence of you all. Let me pause now, we'll discuss more.
Absolutely. I have a few follow-on questions, but Selva.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Supriya, and for this great opportunity. So let me start with so the time and the context of sustainability has changed along with the time, right? So if we look at ABG per se, I've been associated with the group for about 10 years now. So we have seen a complete change of the thinking, complete change of approach in the last 10 years. So if we started early on in 2013, we came up with the vision that all our operations will have sustainable best practices implemented. So that point in time, the best practice itself was not defined. It was getting defined, and what is sustainable operation was not defined. So it was getting defined. So that's where we started. So we operate at 3 different layers from sustainability point of view. So we have factories which are very the ABG, which is having commodities starting from fiber to cement to metals, and we have the new age business in retail as well. So the factories taking care of the regular environmental and safety aspects, and of course there is individual corporates have their own sustainable teams and they're taking up projects. So from a group level, when we look at what we have done in 2015 onwards to have a vision and we have a sustainability model. So we were one of the few groups globally to have a sustainability model defined in 2015-16 onwards, right? So we came up with the 3-pillar strategy, having stakeholder engagement, response stewardship, and future proofing. So if you look at, I mean, connecting to what he said, how the sustainability as a topic has evolved. So that model was focused on risk management primarily. So it was supposed, I mean, if you can find in our website, it was kind of a funnel diagram to starts with a funnel, I mean, a larger dia, and kind of the dia is shrinking to say that your operating phase as a company will reduce because of the different externalities coming in over the years. It may be regulations, it may be customer expectation, it may be overall the scenario that is changing. So that was our risk-based approach. Then we came up individual topics, like maybe it is environment or safety or social. We came up with what kind of externalities that can hit us and what kind of management system that as a company we have to adopt. So we implemented those standards across the group companies, and to say that that kind of helped us to set the systems in place. So even if I look at FY 16-17 itself, we had the basic systems in place across all the factories and corporates. So that helped kind of helped us to set the ball rolling in terms of capacity building, focus areas all being identified. Then slowly the materiality assessment has started coming in. What will be the impact area for each business, where to focus, all started coming in. So now if I look back, then after 15, then in 2021 we revised the strategy. We added, since that was a global strategy, not specifically having any sectoral nuances, then we had kind of updated with the 4D model. So 4Ds, specifically talking about the sectors that we operate, value chain position that we operate, the time horizon of the impact that are hitting in, and the kind of operational products that we are focusing on. So now we are again, as I was discussing in the morning, we are relooking at our strategy to include the value creation opportunities that is coming up from a sustainability angle. So if you look at how we moved from a sustainability point of view, from a risk to a sectoral focus or a value chain focus, now to an opportunities. So that's been our journey, and that's the direction that we are getting into now. And if you look at internally what we have done over the years, one, I said the management systems, governance have been established so we didn't have CSOs over the years. The CSOs came in early in the years. Then we had teams, we had responsibilities fixed. So each topic of environment, either it is water, either it is waste, or it is energy, everywhere the people started coming in. So the governance mechanism kind of started falling in place. Then we focused on the data. So data and the compliance systems was an issue. So we had launched the data management system early in 2016-17 onwards. So the data part started falling in place. Then the initiatives started falling in place. So if I look at because we have proper or maybe a focus group on water management across, starting from the group level to the factory level. So this focus group specifically looks at what kind of risk that can happen for a factory, and what kind of either it is water security or as well as wastewater management, what kind of risk that is happening, and what kind of technology that is coming in, how to inculcate those, and similar to waste and all the other aspects. Then later, then if you look at recent years, the trend is moving towards more deeper in individual element. Then if you look at the targets, we had reduction targets, either it is specific water, specific waste, or no net loss and biodiversity. Now we are looking at zero waste to landfill, zero liquid discharge, water positivity. So that kind of targets are coming in. So that has been a trend. And over the years, what we have done, we have partnered with many internal as well as external agencies. Internal meaning we have our own, as we were discussing in the morning, we have our own the technology wing, which focus on R&D of multiple various areas. So they kind of supported us in some of the elements on water and waste management. Then we partnered with many technology partners global in terms of water management, and also some of the startups. So for example, if I look at, I'm connecting the startups piece over here. So over the years, if we look at what has happened in water, we have huge water consumption in our fiber as well as metal plants. So we used to have the end of pipe treatments. Then it was you treat it, the sludge is getting generated, you dump in the landfill. That's been our focus, right? That's been our way of doing it. In the recent years, with new technologies coming in, new startups coming in, now we are looking at value recovery. So if there is a metal which we are treating it and it is going into the landfill, how we recover the metal and kind of repurpose it or reuse it within the value chain. Or if it is a composite element that is coming into the fiber business. So some of the now we are generating products out of these waste, products out of waste streams, product out of water streams that are being taken up. So that's been our story in terms of water and waste management. From a decarb point of view, our initial focus was on like energy efficiency, along with the government's mandate on PAT, perform, achieve, and trade. So there we brought in new technologies, whether it is motors, lighting, or even process energy efficiency. And if you look at in the recent years, we included digital. So digital twin was focus areas in some of the factories. Artificial intelligence was being implemented in some of the factories where we can pick up wastages, pick up product issues, etc. Then from a carbon angle, our cleaning the energy, so that's a new area that's coming up. So there solar and wind has been, I would say now solar and wind as a sustainability guide, I don't need to focus. It has been already commercialized. Our commercial guys takes care of it. And we are now looking at batteries and long duration storage, carbon capture at the group level. So I will stop here, then maybe we can continue.
Thanks, Selva. I have a quick follow-on question to you. And fascinating to hear about the governance changes so that this business or this change is sustainable over a longer period of time. Is it fair to say that you're moving from being sustainability practice being a cost center to a profit center?
Yes, it is moving. I agree. And some of the business specifically, I can see it's not moved yet already, but I can see some elements we can already get benefits, even realize the value which is linked with sustainability KPI.
Got it. Thanks. Alok, coming back to pick on some things that you were talking about, when you talk about or mention businesses like IndusInd, and you compare that with Gulf Oil and then Ashok Leyland, very different sectors. Two of them could be hard to abate as well, right? So therefore, the approach, the action taken may be very different. Could you talk about some specific case studies from one or two or more of these businesses of yours where you work with a technology company, where you've tried to work with the climate tech startup and therefore push forward what you want to do as a group and have the startup also grow?
So if you look at the automobiles per sector, your scope 1 and scope 2 emissions are not much, but actually your use phase emissions are significantly. Now, when you are talking about the net zero, the sizable amount of the emissions which you really want to control operationally and financially is actually not under your control, right? Now, what exactly you'll do? If you look at the 7 years back, when the Ashok Leyland kind of company was thinking about that, how they will work on, especially commercial sector. See, passenger vehicle will see the buy-in is already there. You see a lot of cars, Tata Motors are taking a lead. There are many companies are doing great. The buy-in from the customer is also there. But still, if you look at the commercial heavy-duty trucks and the buses, buses still has taken a move now, but the commercial heavy-duty trucks are still not shown the commercial results yet. So when we are looking at the Ashok Leyland kind of company, which is 76-year-old company, they were great and good, but not green from the current lens, and they were doing great. So what we're doing is we said, can we work by ourselves? But the existing team of expert is expert in the IC engine kind of model, right? So they will not accept and buy in that concept. That's the reason I said the dependency on you guys is extremely important. And the company like Switch Mobility has played a vital role for us. Switch Mobility is a UK-based company, which is an EV buses company. Then the group has taken forward and the strategy has changed. We can't cook the things from the fresh in the kitchen at our place. Let's go to the outside market and see where we can work on the equi-hire model. Can we work on the investment kind of the model and then work on those kind of things and gradually increase our equity stake on those companies. If this really doing great, can we not acquire the full company gradually and that become a full operation? Now today, if you see Switch Mobility in India, all the double-decker buses I'm from Mumbai, all the double-decker Red Beauty of Mumbai is actually now a switch buses, right? All the EV buses, of course, there are many other good players are also working on that, but you see EV buses are already in the public transit. The public transit model has been significantly changed in last 7 years, and the acquisition and the startup companies like Switch Mobility has supported us to doing that thing. Otherwise, if I would have done the R&D by myself, along with the IC engine based team, which is working in the same way since last 76 years, I don't think we could have created Switch. That's the reason we need to go to the market and get the partner who are excited, greener, and better than us. Another example, while we were working on this, we also realized the cost of this particular model is extremely low, very high. So if I keep the heavy, expensive buses in my books, it will be difficult to sell kind of things, right? Then you need to create an ecosystem. But can we create the ecosystem by ourselves? We were finding it difficult. Then we created another company called OM Mobility, OHM, right? And OM Mobility is largely a company which hold these buses and go to the different BSD and the KSRTC kind of system. And they said this buses will be in the books of this OM Mobility. So I will reduce the load on my P&L of the Ashok Leyland kind of company so that you can produce more buses. Otherwise, what will happen is you will produce only 100 buses, keep the load in your P&L. You will be still working on the IC engine kind of model. But when you have a startup companies moving from Ashok Leyland to Switch Mobility, moving from that mindset to the OM Mobility, you are actually reducing the load on the financial burden on this company so that they can produce more and more green buses. And the operating model, commercial model will allow them to grow. Another example, there is a company called GROW, GRO, right? Since we are into automobile kind of company, we realize if we work alone won't be possible because we are largely dependent on the fleet owners. Now, can we not use the technology enablement like digital and create an app which can utilize the services in an effective way so that the fleet management becomes very easy for them? And there's a company called GROW, the website is Let's Grow, and that company is effectively giving solutions to almost all of our clients in managing their fleet. Now, that company also need to be profitable kind of thing. That company is not currently dependent on the P&L of Ashok Leyland, Switch, and OM Mobility. It becomes self-sustainable. So by a problem statement, the Ashok Leyland, you actually created 3 companies, which is thanks to the startup ecosystem has come up and the entire ecosystem is changing. Other example of IndusInd Bank now. IndusInd Bank is actually largely a highly regulated entity. So from the promoter point of view, we can't do much. But the kind of innovations which they are doing is which is different than the conventional bank. So I'm not talking about the portfolio greening, right? That's their core business. But they also collaborated with the Climate Innovation Hub and they started working on can we not use the application of tech, digital, and sustainability for the agri-farming loan in the sector, which was difficult, and that was a mandate given by RBI, which IndusInd has pegged it very nicely. Now, this is only possible because our Climate Innovation Hub was available to partner with the IndusInd Bank. Same, the third example again, the Gulf Oil. I give an example how the lubricant oil mindset is not changing, but the share price is not increasing. They said this is the problem statement, right? But promoter is happy with the share price, right? And they started thinking in that way. He said, okay, EV is coming. Gulf, not in India, we don't see the Gulf power, the pump stations, but except the US market, Gulf cross operations, the Hinduja Group operations. They have the nice pumps available outside in UK market, European market. They said if the pump stations are available, we convert this pump station to a charging station, right? But since we make lubricants and oil, we don't know what to do with that. And that's the reason, again, we went to the market. And there's a company called Indra, which works on the DC charging, which is fast charging. There's another company called, I just slipped the name of that company. That's Ahmedabad-based company. And that company is also on the AC charging, So we partner with that kind of company. We also partner with another company called Electrify because we also need SaaS-based system to work on those kind of things. So these are the companies who help us actually changing the gear from first gear to the gear of sustainability, gear of digital. And that's the reason the incubation, the startup culture, which is helping us in India and otherwise, I'm sure is helping the other group companies as well.
So when you look for a climate tech startup, you essentially look for technologies that are a result of what the business needs. Is that your approach?
Both ways. So one is basically we definitely try to linkage with our existing business models, but we don't want to limit ourselves. So for example, we are an automobile, oil, healthcare kind of thing. So we definitely will work on those partners who will enable us to journey from 40 billion to 100 billion. That's the first primary criteria. The second thing is there's something new may come up, right? Which may not be relevant for me in the current sector, but that's given the opportunity for me. Example. So with a lot of these EVs coming in, a lot of batteries coming in, right? Now battery recycling is one of the great opportunity. Second, life of the battery, another beautiful opportunity. But currently we are not there in this moment, right? Because the battery will be reusable or replaced after 7 years. So if I consider after 7 years I will do, these are the startup who will work on that. That may not be relevant for me, but if I wear a lens of 7+ years, I will see those kind of opportunity. So we are not very hard and fast in terms of that. Yes, I said as a primary sector, if I have 100 rupees to spend, then probably 75% or 80% has to be in alignment with my current sectors. I can't work in cement technology all of a sudden, but we are also open and flexible because we know after some time that game will be bigger than my current business.
Got it. Thank you so much. And Selva, almost the same question to you.
Yeah.
Maybe some real case studies of you having worked with startups. And today, if you were to look for climate tech startups, what lens or what metrics would you apply?
Sure. Uh, Before that, let me first ask him to create more and more companies because that is going to help us. Uh, the reason is, the entire EV or e-mobility as a space is really helpful for our group companies, particularly Hindalco, because we are in aluminum and copper both. So aluminum is lightweighting. So today, most of the EV cars and even buses are coming with aluminum bodies, and the entire battery enclosures are coming up with aluminum metal, as well as I think EV without copper is not possible to think. So yesterday in RE Invest also our CEO Copper has mentioned that the electric mobility or even entire RE transition is going to be copper driven. So copper per se is so that's kind of helping us. So we are expanding our copper business as well, and aluminum. Of course, we are coming up with multiple new age products. So we want to go closer to customers like him. So we are helping Ashok Leyland in some of the bus bodies, etc. And also we are working with almost all OEMs as of today in India. So if you look at Tata Ace, which is of aluminum bodies, probably just of Hindalco product. And we worked with Indian Railways to come up with aluminum wagons, and many any lightweight is kind of associated with aluminum as of today. So that said, and overall, in fact, this greening is helping us from other business also, like epoxy is kind of well positioned for the windmills. Windmill blades is one of the key focus area for epoxy. So having said that, from a technology development, of course, see, we are CO2 intensive in terms of operations, particularly the two sectors that we operate in, the aluminum as well as cement. Globally, it is known for the hard to abate sectors. There is a huge responsibility that we have. But if you look at globally where we stand, right? From an aluminium point of view, I can proudly say that we are kind of front runners in the coal-based energy smelters, where we are already looking at integrating complete smelter with RE power. We are kind of signed 100 megawatt agreement for pumped hydro plus RE. So we are also looking at a new pot line completely powered by RE. So that's kind of, I mean, as of today, I think aluminum, whoever is knowing aluminum in this room will appreciate the difficulty in this. So it is not only that, okay, there is RE power which is available in grid and you can use it. One aluminum pot line, it's about 30 minutes. If the power is gone, your almost six months of production is gone. So the kind of reliability is very high. And for that, we are investing our own to kind of change the grid connectivity. So from a lower KVs to higher KVs. So so that is not visible investment as of today, right? So we are having to upgrade the infrastructure. That is again multi-crore investment that we are making. So, that having said that, and if you look at from a cement side, we have signed for EP 100 and energy productivity 100, and we have already achieved it 2 years before the time. But yes, the challenge is there. From a cement process emissions is going to be a big challenge. Even aluminum, there will be some process emissions because these technologies globally are kind of maturing. But if you look at, there is a huge opportunity still there. One, even from a RTC side, there are two things that we can see. One, okay, how do I get beyond an 85% CUF from an RTC side? There's so much of bottlenecks that are available. Even with the recent pumped hydros, they are in that range. So how do we reach the 100% is one side of it. Second, there are so much of thermal energy that we use that is coming from steam, right? So which we are as of today using either it's furnace oil or coal. How do we get RE power for thermal? So if anyone working in this field of, I mean, in fact, we are already starting to work with some of the companies in electric boilers and mechanical vapor recompressors, etc. So like that again, there are other thermal heat requirements. So one is the steam-based heat exchangers, and there is direct heat requirement as well. There, we are looking at global startups who are into solid, molten salt-based heat generation, as well as energy dome, multiple technologies that we've been evaluating. So one from a long duration storage, as well as conversion of RE power into thermal, RE power into steam. So there are multiple areas that we are yet to kind of find any reliable solutions per se, and that at the same time commercially viable. Again, some of the startups that we have evaluated, I was just mentioning in the morning that they say TRL 9 at the lab scale, pilot scale. By the time it comes to us, we evaluate in our condition, it becomes TRL 3 and 4. So that's one challenge that we have. And some in addition to that, can we look at okay, capturing the carbon within the existing material. So the converting carbon into any other products or ingredients to the cement itself. So that's another area that we are working on. We are converting waste, using the waste like red mud. Can we capture the carbon into red mud and utilize in the cement industry? So multiple projects that are happening with some with global universities as well as some global startups. There are lots of opportunities. And from experience till date, so we had good success, as I was mentioning earlier, from a water side. We had good startups coming to us. So what we generally do is we understand the concept, share the samples from water. We always share the sample and get them analyzed from their conditions and do a lab test. Then help them to do the pilot within our factories. So some of the pilots are already completed and moving to a full-scale implementation. Some pilots are already running. So that's been our experience.
Thanks, Selva. I have a few more questions, but I'm also being mindful of the time. We have, I think, a couple of minutes, and we can open the floor for questions from our participants, our audiences. Anyone questions for Alok or Selva?
Thank you both very much. I'm Zubin Mehta. One thing that you mentioned is that your own people, have limited ways in thinking, or they're used to the older ways of thinking. That's why acqui-hires, that's why partnering with startups helps. But there's only that much that can be done top down, and acqui-hires will be small groups. You've got tens of thousands of employees. How are you working to instill a bit of a sustainability mindset in them? Because they're going to be the ones who will have to drive your sustainable future.
So driving, as I said, the first challenge was interpretation of ESG, right? I said you do HR, you do CSR, you do what? And that's the challenge every day which we have. So what I feel basically, sustainability, the S of sustainability can be amplified only when you have 3 more S. That is what I'm trying to work on. One is simplification, second thing is scalability, and third piece is synergy. What was happening is, in absence of this avatar of the office which we are trying to create in the last 16 months, each company, even if you notice in public domain, the companies are more prominently visible, like Ashok Leyland, Indus, Bengal, Foil, HGS, and many other, Hinduja Hospital, College, whatnot. But as a group, you're not that visible, right? Now, that's not a question of visibility, whether you're creating synergy on that. So what we are trying to do, at least internally at our end, when we create a COE, we have a clear-cut mandate, which is in 4 buckets. On the top of those 4 buckets, there's a vertical roof of that house. And the house of the roof is actually simplification of sustainability through 3 pillars of S. Synergy, scale, and simplification. I will give one example quickly for that. There's a company called Hinduja Renewable Company, which is a 1 gigawatt installed capacity by now. They have solar rooftop and other kind of projects. When Ashok Leyland is trying to take an RE100 target, they are going here and there, looking at multiple kind of things. There are, the electricity, the state matter. So what you can do in Tamil Nadu, you can't do in Karnataka, and what you can do in Karnataka, you can't do in Gurgaon, right? So the Hinduja Renewables is actually a company which they were not in touch and they were working silos. And that's the reason the groups UAE come in picture. We said the output of one, our problem statement of one may be an input for others. right? And that's how the switch, home, grow story has begun. It's not in isolation. Every time the problem comes in, you create and try to find some solution, good, bad, ugly, whatever it is, but you have some solution. That's the one thing which we are trying to do, that creating synergy across other companies, right? When you want to talk about the biggest issue when we speak to the promoters is basically like if I talk about the CCUS or NBS kind of project, I did not get a green signal at this moment. The reason being the capex is so high, this is too much risk for me at this moment. And if you look from the pure risk play point of view, this is a low priority item for me. Then I said, can I not get a partner who will help us in doing that, who believed in that cause, right? IFC, USAID or anyone else, then we'll bring in those partners and work with those particular partners and see if we can create the simplification of the complexity which is existing in the system with the external partner, right? And third is the scale, right? So what we are saying is we are not utilizing the scale which we have. We are more than 100 plus country, 100 plus whole year group. You have more than 210,000 employees with you, but still if you are not utilizing the skill, what's the point? Now there are chances you come to us and I may not be relevant in terms of your solution which you are providing it to me, but in the entire ecosystem there is hardly any chances that you will not fit in. So we try to provide the scale of operation. Also, if you work with me or if anyone work with us, if you have a scale for 10 different sectors together, fair chances you will fit somewhere. A. Second thing, the risk appetite of all these companies will be different. The fair chances you will be absorbed by some other companies kind of thing. So these are the things which we are trying at our level. The third piece which we are doing at the governance level is basically we created a sustainability council which was not there in the past. So what was happening is that you create a group COE, but the group COE has a mandate, but not the responsibility, let's say accountability, but without power, right? So it's it's a typical government office, right? So it's a nice on the designation, but if you try to move the needle, you will have nice coffee and the small energy efficiency. That's not the place where you really want to work on. Doesn't make any sense, right? And that's the reason what we have done, two things. We got the CEOs of all the group companies together, plus all the family together at one place, 1.5 day closed room, did only this thing. That we want to work on amplify sustainability, because if you want to become a 100 billion group, sustainability and digital is the only way. You agree? Yes. If you agree on this, it's all have to work on simplification, scale and synergy. If you will not work on this thing, we will not reach 100 billion. If you will not reach 100 billion, promoters will not be happy, CEOs will not be happy, we will not be happy, right? After that, we have seen the impact. It's not that this is a cakewalk for me. After that, I see a positive impact. There are companies that said, this is my problem statement, can you pass it to the others, can they help me? That's something very positive. This is the leadership level. Another level which we have created, call it, in every company we don't have dedicated CSO. Right? Large company we have the CSO who understand the language which I speak. But there are many companies where the grow homes, which is a newer company. They can't afford a full-time CSO working on that. But we identify the enthusiasts from those companies and said, this is my responsibility to enable them from engineering mindset to sustainability mindset. And they started thinking on that. And that is where we are also partnering with the external people on that. Not everything which I know is correct, right? How would I know? That's the reason we are also partnering with the academia and others, the knowledge advisory partners, so that we can bring the capability of our own people of this 200,000, because I feel this is not a liability, it's an asset. If you train them well, including myself, we'll do miracle. And I am sure we will do that. Thank you.
With some of the areas that from a synergy point of view is what we have been focusing, and it's kind of helped us. So even to say like one business waste to another business, can cement take it? Like today, globally, cement has become the guzzler of waste for many companies, right? So if an FMCG company, some ban is happening, put everything into the cement. If there is a chocolate, it is spoiled, put into the cement factories. If you have hazardous waste, push it into the cement. So cement that way has become waste usage, I won't say dumping ground, kind of waste recycling facility or repurposing facility. And even within the businesses, create that synergy, okay, if one material can go into another business and get it utilized. So that's been one. So from our context, between the group, I think from taking from his approach, so what we have done is we have created subject matter experts in different topics. So that has kind of helped. So we have, let's say, each topic, if I take decarb, there are subject matter experts within decarb who is working on solar and wind integration to commercial terms and agreements, who is working on batteries, who is working on even the thermal side of it, it's biomass boilers, etc., etc. Similarly, on water, we have recycling experts, we have watershed management experts like that. Similarly, on biodiversity, we have plantation experts, replantation experts. Then we are looking at now having experts on specific species, etc. So that's been our approach. So since we had been having that function for last 10 years, so this has now moved to the level of having that expertise internally, and even we can now, some places we say we don't get consultancies, we advise consultancies. So that's kind of, in many cases it happens in today's scenario.
All right. Thank you so much, both of you. I saw a couple of us making copious notes. I am sure we will continue to learn from what fantastic work both of you are doing at your respective conglomerates. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for that.